Let's talk about AI and truth-seeking and metaphorical and literal treasure hunting. If you've been following this channel for a while, you know that the overarching theme is about this concept of treasure hunting. And I do a lot of videos on how to design treasure hunts and alternate reality games and how to engage in these treasure hunts and alternate reality games, but it's all with another motive. I believe that this concept of treasure hunting in a metaphorical sense is a great guide for how we go about clear thinking and problem solving and pursuing treasures in our lives, those truths that are kind of hidden from us initially, and how we can go about discovering them. So that's really what a lot of my videos are. When you see the ones on cognitive biases and observation skills, these are all skills and ways of thinking that have great value in the workplace, in our family, in our home, and problem solving, and yes, of course, in literal and metaphorical treasure hunting. So what about AI? A lot of people today, when they're engaging in treasure hunting, both the metaphorical and the literal type, are turning to chatbots, especially things like ChatGPT or your favorite chatbot of its type. And while they can be useful for all sorts of things in work and life, they also have their downsides. I want to take you through the 5 downsides that exist, and just as an invitation for us to consider how we might mitigate those risks and those downsides. So I've jotted down 5 I want to walk through with you in this video. Let's go ahead and dive in. First one, when you look at this current generation of chatbots, they love surface patterns. So the AI chatbots really gravitate toward these kinds of surface patterns. So if you were to take all of your notes that you've taken and the clues and your thoughts and your thinking, it's going to look at really kind of a level 1. When you think about playing the game of chess, great chess players are thinking multiple moves ahead and about multiple scenarios and so forth. And the current generation of chatbots in many scenarios, unless you kind of, you have to learn to ask the right questions, but even then, it's going to do much more surface level identification of patterns. And especially in life, but also in these literal treasure hunts, it's the layering that makes it so exciting and interesting and complex and worthy of the challenge that you go on. And again, that is exactly how it works in life as well. So we want to be careful about our use of AI and it pointing us to these surface level patterns when the real treasures are beneath the surface. Second one that I'll offer is the feeding of our biases. And I've experienced this a lot over time, and there are ways that you can try to mitigate this and how you use the different chatbots and the like. But you may notice that if you begin to introduce yourself to the chatbot and your interests and your background and other things like that, and even just the nature of the kinds of questions that you ask, that it gives you more of what you want. It feeds your own biases or ideas. For example, if you want to just test this, ask a series of questions about a particular religion or philosophy or belief that makes it sort of suggest as if this is your belief system and your value system, and then ask it to give you an answer to what is the most compelling religion in the world and why, or something like that. And you'll actually find that it will give you an answer that's based more upon the kinds of questions that you've been asking. It's kind of feeding you what you sort of want to hear from it. You can use prompts and other strategies to get past that, but by default, it can do that. And so when you are asking questions of a chatbot in the middle of a search, a solution to a problem, and you're beginning to make some educated guesses, or you're experimenting, doing thought experiments about possible solutions, you will find that the chatbots will often attach to your solution and try to convince you of it and try to make that the correct answer, but it might not be. And you might want it to be open to a variety of possibilities and give you the pluses and the minuses of them. And again, while prompts can improve this, there's still a kind of default limitation we want to be careful about. So be careful of that feeding of your biases and your assumptions and your presuppositions and your speculations. The more you put that in there, the more it begins to sort of output that back to you. The third one is that these current generation of chatbots do a lot of predicting, but they don't really discover. So they can notice some patterns, and if you were to find a simple cipher and you could drop it into a chatbot, it might actually solve the cipher for you. But the idea of maybe the cipher is a riddle, and when you're trying to look for subtle clues within the riddle, and the clues are contextual and they're tied to specific locations, and multiple clues layer on top of one another, it doesn't give you great feedback on those types of things. Again, if you learn to ask very specific questions, you can lead it to be more helpful for you, but by default, it really just kind of predicts the possibilities based upon the patterns that you fed it, and not actually doing real discovery work. And keep in mind that metaphorical and literal treasure hunting is most powerful in those kind of unexpected and undiscovered spaces, and those are precisely the kinds of spaces where the current generation of chatbots are not nearly as effective at helping you kind of get to them. The next one is, well, actually, let me just pause and just say one more thing. So what I mean by this is you can't really relegate your deepest and best thinking to the chatbot to try to actually find a solution for you. It can help you find some answers to discrete questions. So, for example, maybe you're speculating about a particular word or phrase, and you want to see if there are any geographical locations in the world or in a particular region that have that name by it. The chatbot could be very helpful for you if you ask that question. But then, but it's not going to sort of learn to ask that question for you. You have to be able to ask those questions. You have to be doing the discovery-related questions to get really great results. All right, the fourth one that I'll talk about then is an obvious one that people have talked about, and there's even research coming out about how over-reliance upon AI can actually numb and diminish the depth of your thinking. And problem solving and metaphorical and literal treasure hunting and seeking to discover real and reliable truth, that depends upon you putting your best thinking forward. And you don't want to just hand that over to a chatbot to do that thinking for you. In fact, it will cause you to become less aware and keen to the things that will lead you further down the path to discovering